I know you're scared, you wanna hide away sometimes. I know you heard from everyone telling.
Hello everyone and happy St. Patrick's Day. Today I'm going to be doing St. Patrick's themed makeup. I'm wearing green, which is my Slytherin shirt, even though I'm not a Slytherin. And today I'm going to be telling you about some of my craziest ghost hunting experiences. So this first story took place in the old Sacred Heart Hospital. Keep in mind none of these stories are in chronological order by any means. So I went there with my old paranormal team, and the way that this hospital is set up is the first 3 floors are still pretty much the same. They still look like a hospital, but there are some offices that are open to the public. There's even a pizza restaurant in the former morgue, which is kind of insane to me. But yeah, so this place, you could tour the first 3 floors, but aside from that, the top 2, I believe, you cannot go up on. And the reason for that is because they have not been remodeled, so they still look the exact same. They still have like equipment laying everywhere, and like wheelchairs, and it's falling apart, and it's just in general dangerous. So like you'll actually get in trouble for trespassing if you try to go up onto those floors. So I had investigated this hospital many times because it's super haunted. But we brought along a friend who had not. Now this friend was a bit of a troublemaker. And he decided that he wanted to go up onto the floor that he was not supposed to go up onto. And we were all trying to get him not to. And so keep in mind, we were a bunch of high school kids. He was a year younger than us, and we were all seniors at that point. So we were most of us were 18. He was 17. So he likely would not be tried as an adult if he got in trouble, but we could get in trouble by being guilty by association. So we didn't want to go to jail. Now, 2 of us were already living on their own, but the other 2 of us had pretty strict parents and still lived with their parents. So the last thing we needed was to get arrested and not only be in trouble with the law, but also be in trouble with our parents. So those of us who had strict parents decided to leave. And keep in mind, we were on the 3rd floor, the highest floor that you were allowed to go to legally. So as we were walking away, we had to go through these big heavy metal doors that took us away from the staircase. That's the way the hospital is set up. And so those doors closed behind us, we're walking, and above us, through the ceiling, on the floor above us where our friend was, we heard someone screaming at the top of their lungs like they had been like mortally wounded. Now, it is dangerous up on those floors, so we honestly assumed that he had gotten severely injured, like he had fallen down and broken his leg or his back or something. Like, it was some serious screaming. So we go running back to where our friends were. And as we get back, we see him coming down the stairs. And we're like, dude, like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. What are you talking about? So at that point, we think he's messing with us. We're like, okay, yeah, haha, whatever. We heard you screaming. He's like, no, seriously, like, I wasn't screaming. There was nothing like that going on. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, no, seriously, I have proof. So he pulls out his phone. Actually, he already had his phone out. And he was like, look, I'll show you. He had been filming from the time he walked up the stairs to the time he came back down. And he had not screamed that entire time. Like, he showed us the video, and there was nothing in it that we could have even mistaken as a scream. But we heard it. So that was insanely creepy. So another absolutely insane ghost hunting experience I had was actually on one of my first ever ghost hunts when I was about 14. I went with a group of friends, and not a lot was really happening, but toward the end of the night, we started having some stuff happen. So we had walked away from where we were because one of our members had seen something, and we looked back at just right where we had been standing, and we saw this like small shadow figure like slowly coming towards us and then disappearing and then reappearing. It was insane. But that was not the craziest thing that happened. So basically, we felt what we can only describe as a hot spot. So now keep in mind, we did live in Florida, but this was not during the hottest time of the year. So when it suddenly felt like in one area we were sticking our hand into an oven, it was weird. So we go over there and we are all feeling this hot spot. And all of a sudden it was like a domino effect. Like one thing happened after the other. We all heard a woman's voice, and then suddenly we heard music blaring. And that music was coming from my backpack. And my phone, which had been dead, had turned on in my backpack by itself and started just blaring music out of nowhere. And when I pulled my phone out of my backpack, my battery still said 0%. Then, in a matter of seconds, we went from being super excited because we had gotten all this evidence to being absolutely terrified and running for our lives. We just all suddenly got the sense that whatever was there did not want us there. And we didn't even say anything to each other. We weren't like, oh my god, do you feel that? We weren't like, ooh, we should run. We just bolted. We all started running at the same time. And as I was running, I was looking around, and keep in mind, this graveyard was in the middle of like the woods. So there were trees everywhere. And so I was looking around, and what I was seeing were shadows peeking out from behind the trees. And that terrified me more, obviously, so I ran more. So we get in the car, and we leave, and I turn to my friend, and he goes, "Did you see those people peeking out from behind the trees?" There was no one there. We would have seen them show up. And we both saw what looked like people peeking from behind the trees. So I vowed to never go back there again. I actually did end up returning, and not much really happened, but you can find that video on this channel. I have had very many more ghost experiences since then, especially with ghost hunting, but those are probably still my craziest experiences. I hope you enjoyed today's video and have a happy St. Patrick's Day.